Amara sat in front of her vanity, the early morning light filtering softly through the curtains, casting a warm glow on her room. The air smelled faintly of lavender, a scent that always reminded her of her mother. It was a calm, peaceful morning, just the kind she loved.
Hey there, and welcome to Freezy Stories. Get ready for another amazing story that will keep you hooked from start to finish. If you love great storytelling, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. And if you enjoy this video, show us some love by liking, commenting, and sharing. It really helps our channel grow. Now, let's dive into today's story.
Amara sat in front of her vanity, the early morning light filtering softly through the curtains, casting a warm glow on her room. The air smelled faintly of lavender, a scent that always reminded her of her mother. It was a calm, peaceful morning, just the kind she loved. Her fingers lightly touched the heirloom necklace lying in front of her, its gold surface catching the light. It had been passed down through generations of women in her family, each one wearing it on her wedding day. Her mother had worn it, and now it was Amara's turn. The necklace was more than just a piece of jewelry, it was a symbol of love, of tradition, and of the bond between generations. It felt like the weight of the world rested on it, though in a good way. As she fastened the clasp around her neck, a soft smile played on her lips. Everything seemed to be falling into place perfectly. In just a few weeks, she would marry Obinna, the man who had captured her heart all those years ago. They had been together for as long as she could remember. She thought of all the memories they'd made, the quiet walks, the late-night talks, and the shared dreams of a future that now felt so close. The wedding plans were almost complete, and everything was set for a picture-perfect day. Obinna was the love of her life, and she couldn't wait to start the next chapter with him. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from her best friend, Adanna. "We're on our way, can't wait to celebrate with you, bride-to-be." Amara smiled again. The bridal shower was finally here. Her three best friends, Adanna, Chioma, and Nkechi, were coming over to help her celebrate. She had known them for years. They had all been by her side through thick and thin, from school days to now. But, as she thought about them, her smile faded just a little. There had always been a quiet, unspoken tension between them. It wasn't anything major, just little things. Little moments that Amara sometimes couldn't explain. Adanna was the picture of perfection. Always put together. Always calm. She never seemed to let anything shake her, which made her a little hard to read. She was the type of person who always had everything figured out, and for the most part, Amara admired that. But there were times when Adanna's perfection felt intimidating, like there was no space for anyone else to shine in her world. Then there was Chioma. Chioma was the life of the party. She had this energy that could fill up a room, always talking, always laughing. Her quick wit and humor made her the center of attention, and people loved being around her. But sometimes, Amara wondered if Chioma was hiding something deeper. There was this frantic edge to her that Amara couldn't quite place. It was like Chioma was always trying to cover up some hidden worry with her jokes and infectious smile. And then there was Nkechi, the quiet one. The one who always observed, who never spoke unless she had something important to say. Amara appreciated how grounded and reliable Nkechi was, always there when she needed her. But there were moments, tiny moments, when Amara could have sworn she saw something in Nkechi's eyes. A kind of longing, or maybe jealousy. When she caught her looking at Obinna, there was a certain way her gaze lingered that made Amara's stomach twist. But today wasn't the day to dwell on all that. Today was supposed to be about fun, about celebrating the future. Amara took a deep breath, letting it all go. She had her friends, her family, and soon, she would have Obinna as her husband. Everything was coming together, and she couldn't wait for the day to unfold. The sound of a car honking outside caught her attention. Her friends had arrived. Amara took one last look in the mirror. She looked every bit the picture-perfect bride she had always dreamed of being, the one who would have everything go according to plan. She was ready for the day ahead. As she made her way downstairs, she heard the sound of laughter echoing through the hallway. Adanna, Chioma and Nkechi were already inside, greeting her auntie, who was busy in the kitchen making last-minute preparations. "Amara, you look beautiful," Adanna exclaimed, rushing to hug her. Chioma followed close behind, arms wide, pulling Amara into a tight hug. "You're going to make the most gorgeous bride," she said with a grin, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Nkechi smiled softly, giving Amara a warm hug as well. Her eyes were kind, but there was a quiet, almost unreadable expression behind them. The next few hours were filled with laughter, games, and gifts. The bridal shower was everything Amara had hoped for. Fun and carefree, a chance to bond with her friends and family before the big day. Yet, despite the laughter and joy, there was something hanging in the air, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. The undercurrent of tension between her friends was still there, lingering just beneath the surface. But for now, she pushed those thoughts aside. Today was about celebrating love, about celebrating the future. Everything would work out perfectly, just like her wedding. Or so she thought. The bridal shower was in full swing, with laughter and music filling the house. The air was warm, buzzing with excitement as Amara's friends, family, and a few close relatives gathered to celebrate the bride-to-be. The table with hors d'oeuvres and champagne glasses clinked together in cheerful toasts. Amara sat at the center of it all, beaming with happiness as her friends surrounded her. Adanna, Chioma, and Nkechi were close by, each of them raising their glasses to toast her. But Amara couldn't help but notice the strange, almost calculating looks they exchanged when the glasses were lifted, a brief flicker of something in their eyes before they smiled at her. "To Amara, the beautiful bride-to-be, may your life be filled with love and happiness," Adanna said, her voice smooth and almost too perfect, like everything she said was carefully thought out. The words sounded sincere, but Amara couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more beneath them. "To love, to family, and to friendship," Chioma chimed in, her laughter quick and easy, but her eyes darted nervously around the room. The sparkle of excitement in her voice seemed a bit too loud, almost forced. It wasn't like Chioma to be on edge. Nkechi, ever the quiet one, simply nodded and raised her glass, her eyes meeting Amara's with a soft, unreadable look. She smiled, but it was tight, her gaze lingering on Amara's face a little longer than necessary. Amara didn't understand why, but that moment felt like a crack in the otherwise cheerful atmosphere. The champagne flowed freely, and the party continued around them. Amara didn't notice the tension building in the corner of the room. Her attention was on the games, the laughter, and the little gifts that her friends had brought for her. The afternoon felt perfect, at least it seemed perfect, but beneath the surface, secrets simmered. Adanna stood just a little too close to Obinna when he arrived, her hand lingering on his shoulder a second too long as she whispered something in his ear. Amara didn't notice. She was too busy greeting other guests. But the way Adanna's fingers lightly grazed Obinna's collarbone didn't escape Chioma's sharp eyes. "I can't believe she's still like this," Chioma muttered under her breath, her lips curling into a barely noticeable frown. "Always playing the perfect little bride." Nkechi caught her eye. "You should focus on yourself for a change, Chioma," she whispered, leaning in so only Chioma could hear. "You've got your own mess to deal with." Chioma rolled her eyes, but there was a nervous energy about her. She turned away, her fingers fidgeting with the rim of her champagne glass. Deep down, she knew the truth: she was drowning in debt. No matter how many smiles she plastered on her face, her financial troubles were catching up with her. The luxury that others saw in her life was a facade, a mask to hide the cracks beneath. And with Amara's wedding coming up, the pressure was unbearable. Meanwhile, Nkechi stood off to the side, her phone hidden in her palm. She'd been texting him all morning. Her lover, the one who was still a secret to everyone. The affair was something she never planned for, but once it started, she couldn't stop. It was thrilling, dangerous, and forbidden. But now, the consequences of her choices were beginning to weigh heavily on her. She didn't want anyone to know, especially not Amara. If she ever found out, well, that was something Nkechi couldn't even imagine. The hour grew late and the laughter slowly began to fade. Amara was enjoying herself too much to notice the subtle exchanges happening around her. But just as the party seemed to be winding down, the girls slipped away unnoticed. They didn't need to explain to anyone why they were leaving. They had a much bigger plan, something far more important than a bridal shower. In the dimly lit corner of a nearby cafe, the three friends gathered around a table. No champagne this time, just water and coffee mugs. Adanna spoke first, her voice low but filled with conviction. This has to happen. There's no turning back now. Chioma shifted uneasily in her seat. I don't like this, Adanna. If anyone finds out... No one will find out, Adanna cut her off sharply. Trust me, it'll be fine. Nkechi glanced around, ensuring no one was listening, before leaning in. I'm in. I know what I need to do. Her tone was quieter than the others, but her eyes were hard, determined. Chioma looked down at her hands. I'm not sure, you know. Things are complicated. If Amara ever found out... She won't, Adanna said, her voice firm, with an edge of finality. She'll never know what's coming. It's all set. The timing is everything. The three of them shared a look, one that held 1,000 unspoken words. They all knew that what they were about to do would change everything. Amara had no idea, but her perfect wedding, her perfect life, was about to be shattered by them. With a final, silent agreement, they all stood, ready to play their parts. As they left the cafe, each of them carried their own weight, their own reasons for betraying their friend. And none of them knew just how far things would spiral from here. The car rumbled down the narrow road, cutting through thick trees and rolling hills. Amara stared out the window, her excitement for the bachelorette getaway bubbling up with each mile they drove. It was supposed to be a relaxing weekend, just her, Adanna, Chioma, and Nkechi, getting away from all the wedding planning madness. They had chosen a secluded resort far away from the city, the kind of place where no one could find them. The perfect spot for a girls' weekend, or so Amara thought. Adanna was driving, her hands gripping the wheel a little too tightly. She was silent, her usual chatter replaced with a quiet, focused expression. Chioma sat in the passenger's seat, her phone in her lap, eyes darting from the screen to the rearview mirror. Nkechi, as usual, was in the back seat, her face unreadable, staring out the window. The tension in the car was palpable, but it wasn't obvious to Amara. She was too caught up in her own thoughts about the wedding, wondering what it would be like to marry Obina, what their life would look like once they settled into their new home. It was all she could think about. Adanna finally broke the silence, her voice cheerful but just a little too bright. We're almost there. This place is supposed to be amazing. You're going to love it, Amara. Just wait until you see the spa. Amara smiled, grateful for the distraction. I'm so ready to relax, she said. I need it, this wedding planning is crazy. Don't worry, Chioma added, glancing over her shoulder. We've got you covered. This weekend is all about fun, no wedding talk allowed. The girls all laughed, but it was forced. Amara didn't notice though, she was too eager to forget the stress of the wedding preparations. They finally reached the resort, an old charming lodge tucked away in the woods, surrounded by the quiet hum of nature. It looked like the perfect place to escape from everything. Amara let out a contented sigh as she stepped out of the car. The resort was just as beautiful as they had promised, cozy cabins, a sparkling lake, and towering trees that made the whole world feel far away. After settling in and unpacking, the group made their way to the lounge, where the drinks flowed freely, and the laughter, though nervous, filled the air. Amara was the first to grab a glass of champagne. "To friendship," she said, raising her glass. Her friends clinked their glasses with hers, and the sound of the toast echoed through the room. But Chioma's eyes didn't meet Amara's. Instead, she looked at the others, her lips curving into a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She quickly drained her glass, setting it down with a deliberate clink. "To making memories," she added, her voice just a little too high-pitched. Adanna was already moving toward the bar, asking the bartender for a special cocktail. "You're going to love this one," she said, her smile too tight, her movements too quick. Nkechi sat back in her chair, her eyes scanning the room, though it wasn't the decor that caught her attention. It was the hired man standing near the door. Tall, broad-shouldered, and with a look of quiet intensity. He nodded when he caught her eye, a subtle but clear signal that everything was set. Amara didn't notice any of it. She was too busy enjoying the escape, the fleeting moment where everything felt right. She felt safe in the company of her friends. Little did she know, things were about to take a dark turn. Later that night, after a long day of fake smiles and strained laughter, Amara was feeling the effects of the alcohol. The girls had kept her drinking, one cocktail after another, until she was lightheaded and relaxed. Adanna smiled at her, watching with a quiet satisfaction. "Hey Amara," Chioma said, leaning in close with a conspiratorial grin. "How about we play a game? A little fun before bed." Amara, already tipsy, nodded eagerly. "Sure, what do you have in mind?" Chioma slipped something from her bag, a small, unmarked vial. She flashed a smile. "Just a little something to make the night more memorable." Nkechi raised an eyebrow but didn't speak, watching the scene unfold with a practiced calm. She knew what was about to happen. Adanna's eyes flickered to her, confirming that everything was in place. They'd been planning this for weeks, making sure everything was set up perfectly. Chioma poured the contents of the vial into Amara's glass, without a second thought. "You'll feel great," she said smoothly, her voice almost too sweet. "Trust us." Amara took the glass without suspicion, sipping the drink with a smile. "You guys know how to treat a girl," she said, giggling. As the night wore on, Amara began to feel drowsy. She couldn't quite place it. Everything was spinning just a little too fast. The laughter of her friends faded into a distant hum as her vision blurred. She wanted to resist, to stay awake and enjoy the fun, but her body felt heavy, like it was no longer her own. Her last memory of the night was stumbling toward her bed, the room tilting around her. She collapsed onto the soft sheets, unable to keep her eyes open. Outside, in the shadows, the hired man moved toward the cabin's back door, his footsteps silent. Meanwhile, Chioma quietly pulled out her phone, her fingers trembling as she pressed record. She had to get the footage. She had to have leverage. The plan was set. Everything was falling into place. And as Amara drifted into an uneasy sleep, unaware of the storm building around her, the girls' laughter echoed in the distance. But it wasn't the sound of celebration. It was the sound of betrayal.
Amara stood outside Nkechi's apartment, her heart pounding in her chest. The night air was thick with tension, but she barely noticed. The video evidence burned in her hand. Cold, undeniable truth. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady herself. She wasn't here for explanations. She wasn't here for apologies. She was here for the truth. With a sharp knock, she waited. A few seconds later, Nkechi opened the door. Dressed in silk pajamas, her eyes widening slightly at the sight of Amara. But then, as if remembering herself, she smirked. "Amara," Nkechi purred, leaning against the doorframe. "To what do I owe this surprise visit?" Amara pushed past her and walked straight into the living room. Close the door. Nkechi arched a brow but obeyed. Well, someone's in a mood. She sauntered over to the couch, crossing her legs lazily. What's the occasion? Amara pulled out her phone and hit play. The video was short but damning. The footage showed Nkechi standing in the shadows at the resort, overseeing everything. The muffled sound of laughter, a clinking glass, Amara collapsing onto the couch, helpless. Nkechi's smirk faltered. Amara's voice was like steel. I know what you did. For a moment, silence. Then Nkechi chuckled, shaking her head. So, you finally put the pieces together. Amara clenched her fists. You drugged me. You set me up. Why? Nkechi sighed dramatically. Oh, don't act so innocent, Amara. You've always had everything. Obinna, the perfect life, the admiration of everyone. And what about me? Her eyes gleamed with something dark, something bitter. Do you know what it's like to always be the friend and never the main character? Amara swallowed hard. So, this was all about jealousy? Nkechi scoffed. Please, you think this is just about some petty jealousy? No, Amara. This is about power. And you? She leaned forward. You were in my way. Amara gritted her teeth. You ruined my life! Nkechi rolled her eyes. Oh, don't be so dramatic. You'll survive. She stood, stretching lazily. Besides, I didn't act alone. Amara's breath hitched. What do you mean? Nkechi turned to face her, her expression shifting into something more sinister. I wasn't the one who made the final call. That was all Obinna. The room went still. Amara's pulse roared in her ears. You're lying. Nkechi smirked. Am I? She tilted her head. Did you ever wonder why Obinna pulled away so easily? Why he hesitated to defend you? Why the video spread so fast? She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Because he was part of it, and not just because of me. Amara's knees felt weak, but she forced herself to stay standing. Then why? Nkechi's lips curled into a knowing smile. Because Obinna has debts, sweetheart. Big ones. And the man holding those debts? She paused for effect. Chief Ebube. Amara's stomach twisted. Chief Ebube. A name she had heard whispered in hushed conversations. A man whose influence stretched far and wide. A man whose power came at a cost. You're lying, Amara repeated, but her voice was weaker now. Nkechi let out a low laugh. Believe what you want, but Obinna had no choice. He had to play his role. And you? She shrugged. You were collateral damage. Amara's vision blurred with rage and betrayal. The man she had planned to marry, the man she had loved, had he truly done this to her? Nkechi picked up her phone and smirked. Now, if you're done with your little confrontation, I have a dinner reservation to get to. Amara forced herself to breathe. She had come here for answers. She had gotten them. Now she needed proof. Without another word, she turned on her heel and walked out. Nkechi's laughter followed her into the night. Later that night, Amara sat across from Kelechi, her hands gripping a hot cup of tea that did nothing to warm the ice in her veins. Obinna knew, she whispered. He was in on it. Kelechi frowned, watching her carefully. Are you sure? Amara nodded stiffly. Nkechi said he had debts, that Chief Ebube was controlling him. Kelechi sighed, rubbing his temples. That complicates things. Amara exhaled sharply. No, it makes things clearer. They wanted to destroy me, and they almost succeeded. Her gaze hardened. But I'm not going down without a fight. Nkechi studied her for a moment, then nodded. Then let's get you the proof you need. Amara had been a victim long enough. It was time to fight back. Obinna sat alone in his car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. His mind was a whirlwind of regrets, fear, and guilt. He knew this moment was coming. Amara would find out the truth eventually. But knowing didn't make it any easier. When his phone vibrated, he didn't have to check the screen. He already knew who it was. Ebube. The name alone sent a cold shiver down his spine. Taking a deep breath, he finally picked up. Obinna. Ebube's deep, measured voice filled the car. I hear Amara has been asking questions. Obinna swallowed hard. I can handle it. A low chuckle came through the receiver. I hope so, because if she digs too deep, well, you know what happens to people who get too curious. The line went dead. Obinna shut his eyes for a moment, rubbing his temple. He was in too deep. There was no way out. But Amara, she didn't deserve this. He had to make her understand. Amara stared at Obinna across the cafe table, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. You have 5 minutes, she said flatly. Obinna exhaled shakily. Amara, I swear, I never wanted to hurt you. She scoffed. That's funny considering you stood by while they destroyed me. I didn't have a choice, he blurted, leaning forward. You don't know what kind of man Ebube is. He owns me, Amara, my family, my business, everything. Amara narrowed her eyes. What does that mean? Obinna ran a hand down his face. Exhaustion and regret etched into his features. I took a loan from him years ago to save my company. I thought I could pay it back, but the interest, it never stops growing. The more I tried to fix things, the deeper I sank. Amara's lips pressed into a thin line. And what does that have to do with me? Obinna hesitated, then sighed. Ebube wanted leverage. He needed a way to control me completely. When he found out about our wedding, he saw an opportunity. His voice dropped. He told me to go along with the plan, or lose everything. Amara's stomach twisted. So you sold me out to save yourself? Obinna's face fell. I thought if I played along, I could protect you. I tried to stop it from getting worse, but... He trailed off, shaking his head. I was a coward. I let it happen. Amara sat back, her heart pounding. She wanted to scream, to throw something, to make him feel even a fraction of the pain she had endured. Instead, she forced herself to breathe. You let them ruin me, she whispered, her voice trembling with quiet fury. And now you want my understanding? Obinna clenched his fists. I want to make it right. Amara scoffed. You can't. She grabbed her bag and stood up. Whatever Ebube has on you, that's your burden to carry. But I'm done being a victim. She turned to leave, but paused. Without looking back, she added, And if you think I'm just going to let this go, you don't know me at all. Then she walked away, leaving Obinna staring after her, knowing he had lost her for good. On the other side of the city, Chioma sat in her tiny apartment, staring at her phone with sweaty hands. Loan shark. If you don't pay by tomorrow, I'll make sure everyone knows your little secret. Her chest tightened. She was drowning in debt, and now the walls were closing in. She had tried to be smart. She had recorded Nkechi and Adanna, thinking she could use the footage to buy herself a way out. But now, the threats were getting worse. Her phone rang again. This time, it was an unknown number. With shaking hands, she answered. A rough voice growled, "Tick-tock, Chioma. Pay up, or I start talking." The call ended. Chioma let out a shaky breath, gripping her hair. She was running out of time. Amara sat frozen, her fingers gripping the edges of her phone as the video played. Her breath caught in her throat. The grainy footage wasn't of her this time. It was Nkechi, her brother, with Adanna. She felt her stomach turn. The video wasn't long, just enough to destroy him. Adanna's voice played over the footage, smooth and taunting. "I hope you're ready to watch your perfect little brother crumble, Amara. Because if you don't back off, I'll make sure this goes viral." Amara's grip tightened around her phone. Her blood boiled. First, they had tried to ruin her. Now, they were coming for Nkechi. She would not let this happen move. Nkechi burst through the front door, his face twisted with anger. He had already seen the tape. "Where is she?" His voice was low, dangerous. Amara stood from the couch. "Nkechi, wait. No." He slammed his fist against the wall. "I trusted her. I let her get close to me, and she used me as a weapon against you?" His chest heaved with rage. He had always been the strong, dependable one, the brother who protected her. Now he was the target. Amara placed a hand on his arm. "We'll fix this, together." Nkechi exhaled, trying to steady himself. "I don't care about my reputation, Amara, but I won't let them win. I won't let them use me to break you." His eyes darkened. "If Adanna wants a war," he said, voice cold, "then she's about to get one." Adanna smirked as she scrolled through her messages. The video was already causing a stir, whispers, rumors, panic. She knew Amara. She knew the girl would fight back. Good, because Adanna wasn't done yet. Not even close. Chioma sat across from Chief Ebube in his dimly lit private lounge, her fingers gripping her purse so tightly her knuckles turned white. The air was thick with the scent of expensive cigars, the soft hum of jazz music playing in the background. She knew coming here was a mistake, but desperation made people do foolish things. Ebube leaned back in his leather chair, watching her with an amused smirk. "Chioma, my dear, I must say, I'm surprised. You never struck me as the type to beg." Chioma swallowed her pride. "I need help." His smile widened. "Ah, and now you finally admitted it. Good. Let's talk business." She took a shaky breath. "I owe money. A lot. My loan shark is threatening to ruin me." Ebube tapped his fingers against his glass of whiskey. "And why should I care?" Her throat went dry. "I'll do whatever you ask." He chuckled. "That's exactly what I was hoping to hear." Chioma's heart pounded. She had expected him to demand something shady, maybe access to certain people, maybe even another setup like Amara's. But what he said next sent an icy chill down her spine. "I want Amara gone." Her breath hitched. "Gone?" Ebube swirled his drink lazily. "She's a problem, and I don't like problems. Make her disappear, and your debt disappears too." Chioma's stomach churned. "You mean—" Ebube raised an eyebrow. "Do I need to spell it out?" She felt the weight of his words pressing down on her chest. She had wanted a way out, but not like this. Not murder. But if she didn't take the deal... Her phone vibrated. Another message from the loan shark. Final warning. Your time is up. Chioma clenched her jaw. She was out of time. Think carefully, Chioma, Ebube said smoothly. You either walk out of here free from debt, or you leave here with nothing but problems. Choose wisely. She stood slowly, her mind a storm of fear and guilt. As she walked out of the lounge, her heart pounded with one terrifying thought. If she wanted to survive, Amara had to go. Amara sat at the dining table, staring at the old, yellow documents spread before her. Her mother's name was written in elegant cursive at the top of a faded letter, a love letter. Her fingers trembled as she read the words again. My dearest Ebuba, you are the fire that consumes me, the secret I can never reveal. If the truth ever comes out, it will destroy everything. But know this, our love is real, even if the world will never accept it. Amara's stomach twisted. Her mother and Chief Ebube. She dug deeper through the files, flipping through legal documents and land records. A familiar name caught her eye. Her father's. He had been fighting a long, bitter battle over family land, and Ebube was on the other side. Her mother's affair wasn't just a betrayal, it had fueled a war. And then, at the bottom of the stack, she found a birth certificate. Her breath caught in her throat. Adanna. Her eyes scanned the details. Date of birth. Mother's name. Father's name. Ebube. The paper slipped from her fingers. No, this can't be. Adanna wasn't just a friend. She wasn't just a betrayer. She was her sister. Across town, Nkechi sat in his car, his jaw tight as he flipped through a thick insurance file he had stolen from Chioma's apartment. At first, it seemed normal, health records, personal details. But then he saw something that made his blood run cold. Names, Pastor Elijah, Chief Ebube, a list of others connected by hidden payouts and covered-up scandals. At the center of it all, Chioma. She wasn't just drowning in debt. She was sitting on a ticking time bomb. Nkechi clenched his fists. Chioma had always been desperate, but was she really willing to go as far as murder to save herself? He needed to act, fast. Because if Ebube had his claws this deep into their lives, Amara was in more danger than she even realized. Amara sat in her room, her mind spinning. The weight of everything she had just uncovered pressed down on her chest like a heavy stone. Adanna was her sister. Nkechi had sold her out for money. Chioma. She wasn't just desperate, she was willing to kill. Everything suddenly made sense. She grabbed a notepad and began scribbling names, drawing lines between them like a detective solving a crime. Adanna. The secret child, filled with resentment. Nkechi. A pawn, driven by greed. Chioma trapped in debt, looking for a way out. Chief Ebube, the puppet master, controlling them all. They weren't just betraying me, Amara whispered to herself. They were playing out their own survival. She thought back to Adanna, the way she had always been just a little too competitive, the way she always acted like she had something to prove. Now it all made sense. Adanna wasn't after Obina, she was after justice, at least in her own twisted way. For years, she had been the hidden daughter, the child nobody acknowledged. And now, she wanted to take everything Amara had. Nkechi, on the other hand, was simpler. She had always loved luxury, expensive bags, designer shoes. If Ebube had thrown money her way, she would have taken it without hesitation. And Chioma. Chioma had the most to lose. The loan sharks were closing in. She was drowning, and Ebube had given her a lifeline, at Amara's expense. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was strategic. Amara put her pen down, staring at the paper. She wasn't just fighting back against betrayal. She was fighting against people who had nothing left to lose. People who wouldn't stop until she was out of the picture. Her hands clenched into fists. If they think I'm going down without a fight, they have no idea who they're dealing with. Obinna sat across from Chief Ebube in his grand, over-the-top office, gripping the flash drive in his palm. The air between them was tense, thick with unspoken threats. Ebube leaned back in his chair, a knowing smirk on his lips. You must be very bold to come here with demands, Obinna. I thought you knew better. Obinna exhaled sharply. I have the unedited footage from that night. Everything. The truth about Amara, about Nkechi, about Chioma. If this gets out, your whole operation crumbles. Ebube raised an eyebrow, his amusement barely fading. And what do you want in return? Obinna straightened his shoulders. Leave Amara alone. Let her walk away from this with her dignity, and cancel whatever plan you have with Chioma. Ebube chuckled, slow and deep, as if he found the entire conversation ridiculous. You think I can be blackmailed? He shook his head. Boy, you're playing in a league you don't understand. Obinna's grip tightened on the flash drive. If this leaks, the world will see what you've done. Your reputation, your business, everything will burn. Ebube's expression darkened. He leaned forward, placing his elbows on the desk. Let me teach you a lesson about power, Obinna. It's not about what you have. It's about what you can take. Obinna's phone buzzed. A message. Breaking news. Ex-Governor Drayton implicated in fraud scandal. His blood ran cold. He clicked the link, and there it was. A leaked video of Amara's father in a private meeting discussing illegal land deals. The media had already picked it up. The scandal was spreading like wildfire. He looked back up at Ebube, who was watching him with smug satisfaction. You thought you had leverage, Ebube said, swirling his whiskey. But I've been playing this game longer than you. Obinna's heart pounded. He had underestimated Ebube's ruthlessness. And now, Amara's family was falling apart. Amara stormed into Adanna's apartment, her heart hammering in her chest. The moment Adanna opened the door, Amara shoved past her, fury burning in her eyes. You set me up, Amara hissed. And for what? Because of some twisted jealousy? Adanna crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. You think this is just about jealousy? She scoffed. You have no idea what it's like growing up knowing your own father pretended you didn't exist. Amara froze. The words stung more than she expected. Adanna's voice cracked as she continued. Your mother got the perfect life. She got the ring, the family, the respect. My mother? She got silence. I spent my whole life watching from the shadows while you had everything I was denied. Amara swallowed hard, but she refused to let the guilt sink in. So, you decided to destroy my life? Was that your idea of justice? Adanna's face twisted with pain. I didn't want to destroy you. I wanted you to feel what it's like to have your whole world stolen from you, just like mine was. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Amara took a shaky breath. You didn't just hurt me, Adanna. You let Ebube use you, and now we're both his pawns. Adanna's gaze flickered with something. Regret? Fear? Amara wasn't sure. But one thing was clear. Adanna's war wasn't just with her. It was with the past. Across town, Chioma clutched her phone, staring at the message from the loan shark. Time's up. Either you pay, or we settle another way. Her hands shook as she typed a desperate reply, Give me more time. Please. Her phone rang almost immediately. She hesitated, then answered. You think begging will help? The man's voice was cold, amused. You either deliver on Ebube's deal, or we come for you. Simple. Chioma squeezed her eyes shut. This wasn't what she had planned. She had just wanted a way out, not this nightmare. Tears burned her eyes. She had betrayed Amara for survival. But what if that betrayal would cost her life too? Nkechi zipped up her suitcase, her breath coming in fast, panicked gasps. She had to get out, now. Ebube's game was getting too dangerous. The money wasn't worth the risk anymore. She flung open her apartment door and froze. Kelechi stood there, blocking her way. His eyes were cold, unreadable. Going somewhere? He asked, his voice low. Nkechi gripped her suitcase handle tighter. I don't have time for this, Kelechi. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Oh, I think you do. Nkechi's pulse raced. She had played her part in Amara's downfall, thinking she would walk away untouched. But now? She wasn't so sure. The hall glittered with wealth and deception. Chief Ebube's annual charity gala was in full swing. Politicians, business tycoons, and socialites sipped champagne, smiling as if their hands weren't stained with corruption. Amara stood in the middle of it all, her pulse steady, her mind sharp. Kelechi was beside her, a flash drive tucked securely in his pocket. Tonight, everything would be exposed. The moment Ebube took the stage to give his speech, Kelechi nodded. A technician he had bribed discreetly inserted the drive into the projector system. The screens flickered. Instead of Ebube's charity highlights, a video played. The guests gasped as footage of Ebube's dealings filled the hall. The bribes, the blackmail, the betrayals. Then, the footage shifted. The night Amara was drugged. Amara's stomach twisted as she watched herself on screen, vulnerable and unaware. Gasps and whispers swirled through the crowd. Ebube's face darkened. He grabbed the microphone, but Kelechi stepped forward. Your reign is over, Kelechi declared. The room erupted in chaos. Chioma stood near the back, shaking. The debt collectors, Ebube's threats, it was all closing in on her. She had no way out. Her fingers trembled as she reached into her clutch and wrapped them around the cold metal of the gun she had smuggled in. Ebube's security rushed toward the stage. He was barking orders, trying to regain control. Chioma's breathing was ragged. If Ebube lived, she was dead anyway. She pulled the trigger. Bang! Screams filled the hall as Ebube staggered, clutching his side. Blood seeped through his crisp white tuxedo. Then, more gunshots. Security fired back. People screamed, ducking for cover. The gala turned into a battlefield. Amara barely had time to react before she felt a sharp grip on her wrist. She spun around. Adanna. You ruined everything, Adanna seethed. You all were. Is get to be the hero, the loved one, the chosen one. She pulled out a blade. Amara's breath caught. Adanna, don't do this. But Adanna's eyes were wild, desperate. She lunged. Amara dodged, but pain flared in her shoulder. The knife had grazed her. Kelechi's voice cut through the chaos. Adanna! Stop! Adanna turned, just as Kelechi tackled her. The knife clattered to the floor. Panting, Kelechi pinned her down, his voice full of pain. You don't have to be this person, Adanna. Tears streamed down Adanna's face. I was never given a choice. Security swarmed in, dragging her away. Amara clutched her bleeding shoulder, her mind spinning. The gala was in ruins. Chioma had vanished. Ebube was bleeding out. And Adanna, the sister she never knew she had, was now her enemy. The news broke at dawn. Chief Ebube was dead. His empire, built on deceit, blackmail, and blood, began to collapse overnight. The authorities wasted no time. His associates, enforcers, and bribed officials were rounded up like roaches fleeing from light. But Adanna was gone. Somehow, amidst the chaos, she had slipped away, along with Ebube's hidden fortune. Nkechi sat in an interrogation room, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the cold metal table. Gone was the confidence she once carried. Now, she was just another criminal waiting for her fate. Chioma sat across from her, silent. The door swung open. A detective stepped inside, a file in his hand. "You ladies have two choices: cooperate or go down with the rest of them." Nkechi's jaw clenched. She had played her cards wrong, and now she was left with nothing but consequences. Chioma, pale and exhausted, let out a shaky breath. "I just want this to be over." But they both knew the only way out was through. Amara stood in the quiet of her apartment, her mind still reeling from everything. She had won. The truth was out. But at what cost? A knock on her door broke her thoughts. She opened it to find Obina standing there, looking like a man carrying the weight of 1,000 regrets. "Amara." His voice was hoarse. "I was a fool. I should have stood by you. I should have believed in you." Amara folded her arms, studying him. The man she had once loved, the man she had planned a future with, had doubted her when she needed him most. And now, here he was, asking for a second chance. Silence stretched between them before Amara finally spoke. "Love isn't about grand gestures, Obina. It's about trust. And you broke mine." Obina swallowed hard. "I know. But if there's any way I can fix this..." Amara sighed. "Maybe some things aren't meant to be fixed." She didn't slam the door in his face. I didn't scream or cry. She just walked away, leaving Obina standing there, knowing he had lost her forever. The sun cast golden streaks across the sky as Amara stood on the land Ebube had tried so hard to steal. The soil beneath her feet felt solid, unshaken, just like her. Everything had crumbled around her. Her engagement was broken. The people she once called friends had betrayed her. Her family's name had been dragged through the mud. And yet, she stood, fractured, but unbroken. Kelechi walked up beside her, his arm still bandaged from the injuries he had sustained at the gala. Despite the pain, his steps were steady, just like hers. "This land belongs to us again," he said, glancing at their family's reclaimed property. "We can rebuild." Amara nodded, the weight of everything settling on her shoulders, but it no longer felt suffocating. "We will," she said firmly. "But first, we heal." Later that evening, as the cool night breeze rustled through the trees, Amara and Kelechi sat on the porch of their family home. "I should have protected you better," Kelechi muttered, staring at his hands. "If I had..." "You did," Amara interrupted. She reached for his hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "We protected each other." For the first time in weeks, Kelechi smiled, a real, unburdened smile. The past had left scars on both of them, but scars were just reminders of what they had survived. And they had survived. As dawn approached, Amara made a silent promise to herself. She would not be defined by betrayal, nor by heartbreak. She would build a new life, on her own terms. Because she was more than what had been done to her. She was still standing. And that was enough. Amara wasn't expecting a delivery. Yet, there it was. A small, elegant box sitting on her doorstep like a ticking time bomb. Her stomach twisted as she bent down to pick it up. There was no sender's name, but the handwriting on the note attached was unmistakable. Adanna. Hands slightly unsteady, Amara unfolded the note. You think this is over? You think you've won? No, dear sister. This was only the beginning. Enjoy your peace while it lasts. I'll be back, stronger than ever. Amara's fingers tightened around the paper. Adanna was still out there, and she wasn't done. Somewhere far away, Adanna lounged in a dimly lit hotel room, sipping expensive wine as she watched the news. Ibube's empire had fallen. Nkechi and Chioma had been arrested. Obinna had been reduced to a shell of his former self. But she had escaped. With enough money and power to start over, to rebuild, to return, on her own terms. She smirked, tapping her nails against the glass. Soon, Amara. Soon. She had lost this battle, but the war was far from over. The note burned in Amara's hands, but fear did not grip her the way it once would have. No. This time, she was ready. She had faced betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak. She had been dragged through the fire and had emerged stronger. If Adanna wanted to return for another round, let her. Amara was no longer a naive bride-to-be. She was a survivor, and she wasn't afraid anymore.
The morning sun bathed the estate in a warm glow as Amara stood at the gates of her family's reclaimed land. The place held so many memories, both good and bad, but today it felt like a symbol of something new. She had lost so much. Her trust, her innocence, her so-called friends. But she had gained something far greater. Strength. Kelechi stood beside her, his presence steady as always. So, what now? Amara took a deep breath, letting the crisp air fill her lungs. We rebuild, she said. But this time, we do it our way. She wasn't just reclaiming her land. She was reclaiming her life. From a distance, hidden beneath the shade of an old tree, a figure watched her. Their face was unreadable, their presence unnoticed. They pulled out a phone, dialing a number. She's stronger than expected, they murmured. But that just makes things more interesting. A pause, then a slow, amused chuckle. Let the game begin.
Hey, Freezy Stories family. We're so glad you stopped by to watch. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow and keeps us motivated to bring you even more incredible stories. Thank you for being part of our journey. See you in the next one.